One chimpanzee, two chimpanzees. One chimpanzee, two chimpanzees.
Now you're on.
It's on. So I'm going to mute it. One, two. 1, 2. 1, 2. Okay.
Hear it, yeah.
All right. The way you mute this.
Okay.
Unmute it.
Testing. Testing. Testing.
Yep.
You hear it? No. No. Hello. Testing. Okay.
And I'll put this one back if that's okay with you.
Wait.
Good morning, all. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for being here on this cold day. No matter who you are, you're welcome. No matter your heritage, you're welcome. No matter how you love, who you love, where you come from, where your faith is grew up in, you are welcome here. Thank you for being here. I have a couple of announcements. Thanks to those who carried the new All Souls banner at yesterday's St. Patrick's Day, Liz, Scott, Janet, Jennifer, Edie, and Alan. It's good public relations to be seen by lots and lots of the Sioux Falls community. And the 3 rugs hanging on the handrails are no longer needed downstairs. So if you can use any of them, help yourself. If you wish to make an extra donation, we'll gladly accept it for the rugs. So they're right on the outside there. There's a TED Talk being given by the Sioux Falls youth at Jefferson High School on Saturday, March the 23rd at 7 p.m. One of the speakers is Rebecca Kane, who is one of our RE, or spiritual education teachers. So if you like TED Talks, Jefferson High School on May the 23rd. This coming Wednesday afternoon at around 5 o'clock, from around 5 to 6:30, there will be the Ungroup meeting at Monk's Bar, downtown Sioux Falls. Don't arrive too early, don't stay too late. It's just a chance for the folks to get together and converse and have a pleasant time. Are there any other announcements? Hearing,
Patty's Day.
oh, happy St. Patty's Day. Okay, the prelude, please. For our chalice lighting, it's number 434 in the hymnal. May we be reminded here of our highest aspirations and be inspired to bring our gifts of love and service to the altar of humanity. May we know once again that we are not isolated beings, but connected in mystery and miracle to the universe, to this community, and to each other. Would you please stand and join as you're able? The very first song in the book, number 1, May Nothing Evil Cross This Door. Okay. For our responsive reading, in the order of service, there's an insert of a poem, and the poem is called Ate, and it's written by Micah Standing Soldier in honor of her father, and also daughter of our speaker here, Clara Jacob. Micah has just sat for the bar up in Minnesota and is awaiting the results, and she's been a long time associated with this church, as is Clara. So what we'll do is we'll read from one side to the other. So we'll start with the north side, which is the right side of your page. Please join me. Somewhere in a cavern, far into Matasika, an old woman weaves, and a sheepish dog sits by her side. You live in monologues about memory and magic, posing stellar questions during dinner, wondering where and how it all goes. Shadows of pine needles flicker from a large fire with a clay pot. Inside, amaranthine soup simmers. She's nearly finished her rug. Some years ago, you offered this, that a snap of the finger will feel like all that we have known is in an instant and nevermore. The day turns over to bright red, and she steps away to air, soon older than stars, and the dog begins to shake. We buried you with a star quilt, skyless diamonds stitched into soil, a temporal tethering into this world, resting with whatever came before. Sheep's jaws rip into pine needles, bending and beckoning the old woman back. They say she has been weaving and stirring immemorial, if she ever completes her rug. Travel outside time and whittle whys of the universe into spectral dust, traveling onward as your last breath stands still. Will not. I'll be waiting here. And now we have story for all ages.
Okay, let's start on the cover. Thanks. It's visiting day, and this is a story about a little girl who's visiting her dad, and he's locked up in prison. Have any of you ever been to a prison? No, you have? Some, okay, yeah, quite a few people have. Have you ever, I'm not going to ask if you've ever been locked up in prison because you might want to keep that confidential. But how many people here have a family member who's been locked up in prison? Okay. That kind of goes with the statistics, yeah. It affects everybody. So this is a story about visiting somebody in prison. It's really difficult for a parent to be in prison away from their kids. It's difficult for the parent, and it's difficult for the kids. And then that visiting time is very hard also, because a lot of emotions are happening at once, and it's kind of a scary place often. So this is a happy story. Okay, so Visiting Day by Jacqueline Woodson, who's a great writer, and I happen to have studied writing with her, actually. Okay, only on visiting day is there chicken frying in the kitchen at 6 a.m. and Grandma humming soft and low, smiling her secret just for Daddy and me smile. Okay, so she's getting her hair done. Okay, you can go to the next page. There's no writing on there. Only on visiting day does Mrs. Tate come over when the sky is still pink, heavy with presents for her son, Thomas, saying, "Please, can you take these with you?" And Grandma taking the presents from Mrs. Tate's arms. And shooting me a look that says, "You better not make a sound about Mrs. Tate not having money to take the bus up there to see her only son." And I sit respectful. Only on visiting day do I stand patiently at the bus stop, holding tight to Grandma's hand until everybody's inside. So they're riding the bus. Okay, you can go to the next page. And we're all passing around fried chicken, cornbread, and thick slices of sweet potato pie until maybe we think we're going to pop. So there you can see the prison there. But instead, I go to sleep and don't wake up again until the bus pulls up in front of the big old building where, as Grandma puts it, Daddy is doing a little time. And only on visiting day do I get to tell Daddy everything that has happened over the month while I sit in his lap and he pulls on my braids, smiling his big, "Me and Grandma have been gone forever" smile, laughing his big laugh, showing me and Grandma off to his friends, pressing peppermints into my hand and kisses against Grandma's cheek. Here they are. Don't they look happy? Grandma says it's not forever going to be like this. So you can see this is the part of the hard part here where they're saying goodbye. And he has to go back into the prison and she has to leave. So there's like that look between them that's difficult. They're going to miss each other a lot. Grandma says all it takes is time, a little time. And while we're holding our waiting for Daddy to come home, we can count our blessings and love each other up and make biscuits and cakes and pretty pictures to send to Daddy. I don't think you can send cakes and biscuits in South Dakota, but. And in the early morning, if it's a little chilly outside, we can sit out back, bundled up in blankets, and make each other laugh as we make big plans for when Daddy comes home again. The end. Okay. I don't think we're going to read that. That's longer than the book, the biographical notes about the illustrator and the writer. Does anybody have any thoughts about visiting somebody in prison, what that would be like, or if you've done it, what it was like? Yeah.
Extremely painful and depressing. And then I noticed a lot of people I saw in prison. Now I feel like it's mentally ill. It made me feel like mental illness.
Yeah, and so they might not behave in a normal way, so they find themselves locked up. Okay, any of you people in front here have anything to say about this? No? Thank you for listening and being still and thinking about this.
Everywhere you may go. In this church, we've had a long-standing tradition of having a chance to share your joys and to share your sorrows. And the way we do that is we have a sharing stone. Pick a stone up, express your joy or concern, and you place it in the water and let the ripples go out to the greater community. And I'll start by saying that I have a joy. I'm thankful for all the people that helped put this together. I have a joy. I'm thankful for this community. You've made our lives so much easier. If anyone is welcome to come on up and join us.
Hi, I'm JC. Yesterday, Dan and I were able to go to a nursing home and play some violin duets, and the people who listened to us were very kind, and we had a great time. I've really been enjoying this, so it's been a big joy in my life.
So I'm Paul. Haven't been here for a few days because we went to see my daughter and granddaughter in Virginia, and she's doing very well. She's speaking a lot. No one can understand her, at least I can't, but it's she's very patient. She repeats herself over and over, so that's fun. And Joy is recovering. She'll probably be back next week, and I'm glad to see everyone again on this wonderful cold day. Thank God for the cold.
I have concern for a lot of people over at where I'm at, and hoping and praying that they'll all do real well, and hope that those that are in recovery will recover real well, and hopefully they'll do better. And I have hope and prayer, a thought and prayer for one lady in particular who has had some pretty bad sleep lately, and I'm hoping that these days down the road she'll sleep much better from here on out. Let's pray for her. And I have a hope too that Jennifer and I are still together, and I'm happy for that. So thank you very much.
I'm Alan. I'd like to put in a stone for the upcoming spring equinox in a few days. And there's something mystical about that time of the year when the angle of the sun and whatever makes for exactly the same amount of time of the sun above us and the sun being hidden. So anyway, here's to the equinox. It's a message about balance in our lives.
morning, everyone. I'm Theresa, and I'm thankful for another day of life that the Creator has given me today. And I'm thankful to be here with you all, and I'm thankful for the support that you gave to the people that come to Wo'ohitika. And I'm very thankful that you're welcoming me here today, and it feels good to be here. So I'm really thankful. And whenever I feel good in a place, that's a good indication for me. So I'm thankful for that. And then I'm also thankful that I was able to pray yesterday at Good Earth, yesterday morning. We went out there. There were people that needed prayer, so we weren't able to use the fire, but we also use the hunkashi, the stones. They're the first beings, so that's why they're called hunkashi. And we also use mani, the water. That is the first medicine for us, because we cannot live without water. And so I'm thankful for that, and it's just like I'm so thankful that you do this. This is awesome. So, thank you.
My name is Justin. I've been through a lot in my journey. I've seen a lot, experienced a lot, suffered a lot, came through a lot. This stone is for me. This stone is for you. This stone is for all the love that we come across in nature. And this one's for trust. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Fred. Hi, Theresa, ex-neighbor of mine. Oh, sorry. I'll start over. Hi, my name is Fred. Hi, Theresa. It's good to see my ex-neighbor. Is that loud enough? Okay, great. This stone is for my granddaughter who won some kind of an essay contest here in town. She wrote an essay about an Egyptian woman who I believe some kind of feminist. I don't know her whole story. But now she's going to the state contest in Brookings. And for the same girl, she just passed her driver's license test, so that scares the stuff out of me.
Let's share half a minute of silence and reflect upon what we've heard. Thank you. Would you please stand as you're able and join us in the singing of our second hymn, number 145, As Tranquil Streams.
Thank
Would you please join me in the responsive reading number 512, 512 in the gray hymnal. We give thanks this day. For the expanding grandeur of creation, worlds known and unknown, galaxies beyond galaxies, filling us with awe and challenging our imaginations. We give thanks this day. For the fragile planet Earth, its times and tides, its sunsets and seasons. We give thanks this day. For the joy of human life, its wonders and surprises, its hopes and achievements. We give thanks this day. For our human community, our common past and future hope, our oneness transcending all separation, our capacity to work for peace and justice in the midst of hostility and oppression. We give thanks this day. For high hopes and noble causes, for faith without fanaticism, for understanding of views not shared. We give thanks this day. For all who have labored and suffered for a fairer world, who have lived so that others might live in dignity and freedom. We give thanks this day. For human liberty and sacred rights, for opportunities to change and grow, to affirm and choose. We give thanks this day. We pray that we may live not by our fears, but by our hopes, not by our words, but by our deeds. Thank you. And now I would like to introduce Theresa Henry and Clara Jacob and their talk, Woho Ohitiki? Ohitika. So thank you very much.
Good morning. I'm Clara Jacob, and I'm going to start out this talk and then let Theresa do all the real work here. So it's Wo'ohitika, and this organization is a nonprofit, means to have courage. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about this organization, how it got started, and then Theresa can talk about what we do and kind of more about incarceration with Native people and some of the meaning of that and the history. So Michael Standing Soldier worked at the prison for the last maybe 5 years of his life, and he worked with the Native men. He was a cultural liaison, I think was the title, but he did therapy and he did like informal advising, and he did groups, and he taught language, and he helped the men have a taste of their own culture in a place where there isn't a lot of that. And he really loved doing this. But one of the things he saw was that when people got out, when these men got out, they were frequently not successful. So, and he would help them. He'd give them his phone number. He'd set them up with jobs. And oftentimes they would end up violating parole or getting in trouble and going back. And it was so frustrating to pour so much energy into a single person and then have that happen. Just making sound, okay, I'm getting a weird tone in my ear, but maybe that's just me. So he started this organization and got a board of directors together, and he had some sources of funding, and I'm not exactly sure what they were, but I don't think they exist anymore. One was a friend of his who had a lot of money and was really interested in helping, and that person does not seem very interested anymore. I've looked into that, but so after he died, Theresa contacted me, and we were both on the board, and I hadn't really been. I'd sort of been aware. He probably said, "Would you be on the board?" And I probably said yes, but that's about as much as I remembered. So he'd been planning to do therapy groups in the community with guys getting out of prison from a cultural point of view. And so we were unable to do that. We started out, we had a board of directors, we met, we talked about what is it that we can do now. Serendipitously, Theresa had a community that she'd been working with since working at Glory House of Native people who would get together and have sweat lodge ceremonies and pipe ceremonies and prayers and come together for cultural events too, like dinners and learning opportunities and so on. And she was doing this with no financial support, evidently. So we decided maybe the people getting out of prison could join her group and have a cultural connection. And this seemed just as close to the mission of the organization as anything else. So we started doing this, and we're able to, with our small amounts of money, help in various ways, help pay for sweat lodge supplies, pay for craft materials, for travel, for a medicine man, and food and various things. So this is what we're doing now. I've applied for a lot of grants, and it looks like we need to have an all-native board if we're going to get anywhere with that, which I think is one of the things we might go towards in the future. We also have all sorts of great ideas that we don't have money for, like therapy groups. Like I talked to guys inside when I was working with LDN, the Lakota, Dakota, Nakota prisoners spiritual group, and asked them what they would most like on the outside to help them, and they said a halfway house for Native men. Women are also welcome, but we don't have much connection there in Pierre, and so there are women who find their way to Theresa's group. So Wauhitika is to have courage, and it takes a lot of courage when you get out of prison, and anything we can do to help people at that, they're so vulnerable. If you think about, how hard it is for any person to find a place to live, to find a job, to succeed in any respect, and then add to that the fact that you can't rent because you're a felon, for example, you can't get a job because of that. Your options are incredibly limited. You might not have transportation. Well, if you've ever tried to use the bus system here to get around, how are you going to be at work on time? How, you're going to have to spend 2 hours of your day commuting in Sioux Falls, and it seems like the odds are stacked against you. Even if you can do those things, then where's your community? Are you going to be friends with the people you were friends with before, who helped you maybe get in trouble, or your family members who might be really dysfunctional, or are you going to surround yourselves with more healthy people, maybe people in recovery, maybe people who can understand where you're coming from, or brand new people? It's just it's very, very tough, and I don't know how anyone ever really succeeds. So I'm amazed, and I have so much respect for anyone who can get out of prison and stay out of prison. Also, our prison system, I don't even want to get started on that, but clearly it doesn't work because it's not working. And so there are many things wrong. I've been listening to a podcast about the California prison system and some of the corruption in the prison among officers, and the officers are just as bad, if not worse, than the people in prison, than the inmates. And it's just two violent systems that are kind of connected like gears, rubbing up against each other, solving nothing whatsoever. Anyway, so I'm going to hand this over to Theresa, and she's going to give you all the real info. Thank you.
Worked. Okay. Good morning again, everyone, and thank you for allowing me to be here and taking your time to come and to pray and to listen. And I'm thankful to be a guest here, as I said before. And I'll talk a little bit about myself, I guess, and my connection with Mike. Tiblo, I called him. That means my older brother. In Lakota and Dakota, we say Thibodeau. But I'm originally from North Dakota. I was born and raised in Rolla, North Dakota, by the Canadian border. It's very cold up there. And I attended the University of North Dakota in Grand Forks, And that's where I met my ex-husband, had 3 children. He's from Sisseton. So that's how I first ended up in South Dakota. And I lived in Sisseton. And then my son, my youngest son, and it was a horrible tragedy, and it's still painful for me and for our family, but he went to the Army and he came back with a mental illness. And he got in trouble about 13 years ago, so that's what brought me to the Sioux Falls area. So, and I don't share this with a lot of people. I feel trust today here and truth that needs to be told. And he's been here for 13 years, and so that's why I'm here. I won't leave my son. And so I go to the prison I used to go like years ago. The system has changed, like Clara was talking about, and I don't think it's gotten better. It appears it's gotten worse over the years. But when I first came, we were able to visit anytime, 3 times a week, in the evening, on the weekends, and I would visit him. And then it turned out where we can only visit on the weekends. And now he's comfortable. He works in there, so he tells me, Mom, you can just come visit me every 2 weeks. I work, and I have this schedule. But it's very hard. And sometimes my family, my oldest son lives in Minot, North Dakota, and he comes every 3 months to visit his brother. And my daughter lives in Coon Rapids, Minnesota, and she comes every few months to visit as well. And my ex-husband lives in Sisseton. He's a Vietnam veteran. He has Agent Orange and COPD, so he isn't able to come and visit his son very often. And he cannot drive anymore. So anyways, I make sure that I advocate for my son. I check on him, and I make sure that he's taken care of. I send him care packages. I send him commissary money, so I don't want him to go hungry in there, and so I make sure he has everything that he needs. So when I first met Mike, it was through Inipi out to Good Earth. He had heard about the Inipi out there, and he came out to pray with us. And him and I bonded, and we became close. We took each other as brother and sister. And he used to come to, I used to work at Canton at, for the, I'm like, I'm emotional right now, I'm sorry. But I used to work there with the treatment there, the treatment center there, Keystone. And I worked there for 5 years, and while I was there, I was involved with the cultural programs. And I used to pour water for the women that used to come in. So I met a lot of women from different states, different reservations, and men as well. And some of the men would come and visit with me and talk with me. And then from there, I worked there for 5 years, and then I went to Glory House. And that's where I met Ellen. And at Glory House, I first started working with all of the clients there. And then the staff came to me, the administration, and they asked me to work with the high-risk men, the Native men there. So I accepted that, and I developed a program, O-Wash Day, that means to feel good. Wash Day means good. So I worked there for a couple years, and then I went to South Dakota Urban Indian Health, and I was very blessed to be able to develop a cultural program there, and it's still in existence today. with the crafts and the beading, the sewing. I was able to work with men and women in that capacity as well. We went through Wellbriety groups, Red Road Approach groups, and so here I am today. I was trying to get away from counseling for a while, and so I went to Avera Healthcare, and I'm a community health worker now. And I work at the downtown clinic where we service only patients that do not have insurance. And the highest population that we work with is Hispanics, Latinos, and they really have a lot of hardships, like the indigenous people. And so, but I work there now. I've been there for 2 years, and I hope to stay there now, you know, until I can retire. Hopefully I can retire soon. But with the Wo'ohitika, we were able to go to Good Earth Park. The state parks go by the federal regulations, and there is a federal regulation in place, a federal law that if any indigenous person, any Native American person goes to a park and they want to have ceremonies there, cultural ceremonies, they cannot be denied. So that's when I met Jim Henning, and he's an awesome man, and I'm really thankful for Jim. But we were able to set up a lodge there in Ipi, and in English, and people call it Sweat Lodge, but it's much more than that. When we go into Inipi, E means yourself, Ni means with everything, and P means that you're like your voice is out there to the universe. So when you go into Nipi, you heal physically, emotionally, mentally, and spiritually. And that is what I fall back on in my life. I was raised with the cultural ceremonies since I was a little girl. I consider myself one of the lucky Native American women because I was able to be raised with my grandparents. I knew both my grandparents on my father's side and on my mother's side, and they taught me a lot of good things about the culture. I was able to know where I come from with my lineage, and I know the history of my lineage, and I'm very thankful for that because a lot of our people don't know our lineage today because of the trauma that we experienced. So I always say the first, the gateway drug is trauma. And I've seen that over and over with people that come for healing. And love and compassion really does overcome hate. And to have patience and love and compassion for the people is something that we need so much of today, instead of judgment. Because when people come to places like this and places like the Nipi, they come there for help. They come there because they're hurting, because they want something in their life. They want to heal. They want to be happy. And so with the ceremonies, we promote that. We have in Ipis, Lowampi means praying, healing through songs like you just did here today. And we have songs and ceremonies for that. And naming ceremonies. We have what we call, they say, an Indian name, and then we have our English name. And so our Indian name is our spiritual name. It's how the Creator recognizes us. And I did not introduce myself that way today, but often when I speak in front of Native people, I always do that. Hamitakiapi, Wohampi Ampecho Kewi, and that tells you, hello, my relatives. You could say Mie, that means that's who I am. And so you introduce yourself that way. And so So we have kinship dinners, and we call each other relatives. We're all related, and that's our belief. We've had so many different types of gatherings, and they're just awesome, and I'm so thankful that this parish gave to the Wo'ohitika, and I'll forever be grateful for that. And I'm forever grateful to T-Blow Mike. There's a lot of fun times with him, and before he passed away, I was able to record him at South Dakota Urban Indian Health, and we have like some discs. There's, I think, 11 of them, where he's teaching the language, and we hope to get those set up where we can distribute them to the prisons. And that was a lot of fun. And it's also sad because he was like a driving force in the community for me. He was a big support. And we've lost one of the people that, you know, promote cultural awareness. And so I encourage everyone to find out, you know, who they are, to find out their lineage, where they come from, and to be proud of that. And when the prison system started for the Native American people was when the reservations were formed. This was over 100 years ago, but our men were imprisoned, and it left the women and the children vulnerable, and the elderly people. So they started that pattern, is what I call it, over 100 years ago, and it still continues today. Throughout the United States, no matter what state you're in, the Native American males and females have the highest, the biggest negative consequence. They do longer time, they have higher bonds, and they're not treated very well inside the prison system. And so that continues today. And so there have been some Native males that have been imprisoned for there's no evidence against them. And I know that for a fact because when I worked at Glory House, I was able to see some of that information, and it's sad to see that. It's very sad. And to hear, you know, I've heard probation officers say, oh, he's not going to make it. He'll go back in about a month. And that's where I had the challenge of working with the population and trying to empower them so that they didn't go back, so that they were able to love themselves and to love each other and to thrive in this community, or in the community they came from. And so I will continue to do that. I didn't know that my journey here in Sioux Falls would bring me through or have me experience what I experienced with the culture in this community. But I'm very thankful for that, and we continue to promote cultural awareness because it works for our people. That's who we are. That was all taken away from us, and we're still finding it. Some of the people are still finding it, and when they do, it's like a light bulb goes off in their head. You know, it's like, wow, this is who I am. I feel good listening to my songs and learning the language and learning the ceremonies. So, but I'm very thankful, and I want to sing this song. I have asthma and allergies, so my asthma and allergies are acting up. So, but I want to sing one verse of a song. It's a thank you song, and I'll do the best that I can. So please bear with my voice, and then I'll end the talk. wakantanka tonka shela pila mayaye chanupa wakancha maya kueloi pila mayaye we chose aniwa maya kueloi Pilamaya ye. Pilamaya. Lululululu. Mitakyo yasi.
Thank you very much, Theresa and Clara. It's time for the offering, where the gifts keep giving and help support the church. Half of today's collection plate will go to support their organization. So please give generously. Okay, thank you, Carol. Thank you. Please join me with the words to receive the offering. We give these gifts freely. We receive these gifts gratefully. We dedicate these gifts to the work of our congregation, serving human wholeness, caring for our planet, upholding religious freedom, welcoming the stranger, and loving one another. And now for our closing hymn, number 170 in the gray hymnal. We are a gentle, angry people. for closing words. Deep peace of the running wave, deep peace of the running wave to you. Yep. Deep peace of the flowing air to you. Deep peace of the quiet earth to you. Deep peace of the shining stars to you. Deep peace of the infinite peace to you. Go ahead. Thank you, Carol. Yep. Coffee and treats downstairs in the basement and in Eliza's kitchen. And in about 15 minutes or so, around 20 after, come on up and join us for a circle discussion with our presenters. Thank you for coming.